Alright, Kim, I'm going to attempt to show you how to cut your 9-inch squares. And I'm going to attempt to do this left-handed as well, so you'll understand how to use your tools. And so the first thing you want to do is, once you've pressed out as many of the creases as you can in your fabric, and you'll notice that it's folded in half, so it's approximately 22 inches wide. I have taken the 18 by 24 inch mat that I suggested that you buy, and I've turned it the long way so that you can get the full 24 inches here, and you can get your fabric on there and have plenty of room to cut. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have to clean up this raw edge here. So I have lined up the fold of the fabric on one of these straight lines on your mat. Mine happens to be on the 23-inch line straight across, and so it's lined up, and then I have pulled this raw edge up over the 2-inch line in this case. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a fresh cut to this piece of fabric on the 2-inch line. I'm going to line my ruler up, my 6 by 24 inch ruler that I had you buy. I'm going to line up this on the 2-inch line, and then down here on the 2-inch line, and I'm going to use this straight edge to cut a fresh straight cut. Now I'm going to attempt. Now, Kim, I've already showed you how to line your fabric up and on this cutting mat. Basically, you've turned your mat long way so you can get all of your fabric there, and we need to get a fresh cut to this fabric. So we're going to pull your fabric up over one of these lines. In this case, we're using the 2-inch line here because this is the way I have my mat turned, and we're going to line your fold up on the straight line down here on your mat. In my case, it's on the 23-inch line, and it's straight across, so you pretty much got it at right angles. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take your 6 by 24 inch ruler, and we're going to lay this down on the 2-inch line. I'm going to lay the straight edge of my ruler on 2 inches there, and then I'm going to maneuver this down here to 2 inches here, and make sure before I cut that they're even and straight. And then I have turned my rotary cutter, and I don't know if anyone has showed you this, but you need your rotary cutter designed for left-handed, and I don't know how it comes in the package, if it's designed for right-handers, but you're going to need to flip your blade to this right side of your rotary cutter, so that the screw is over here and your blade guard is on the right side, and then your blade can go right up next to. Now I place my hand right down here, a few fingers on the fabric and the rest of my fingers here. Put your blade right up next to the edge of the ruler and give it just a little slow cut here right along the edge, and then I stop when I get up here because my ruler is going to want to shift. So I'm going to gently move my hand up, and then I'm going to keep cutting, pressing with a little bit of pressure, but trying not to press too hard against my ruler and make it shift, and move my hand up as I go, and then gently move my hand again until I get it up to the top. Now in this case, my blade may be a little bit dull, so I didn't quite get that one cut. You probably have a sharper blade and can get all that cut in one trim. And then what you have is a nice clean edge to start with. Now I think the easiest way to make your 9-inch cuts, you could measure over 9 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and put your ruler here on the 11-inch markings and do that. That's a good way to do it, but we also teach that you can take your square ruler, your 9.5-inch square ruler, and line that 9 inches up there, and push your ruler up against this, and you've got your 9 inches here. So you can do it either way. I prefer to do this method because I feel like I get a more accurate 9 inches. And then you put your hand down, move the square ruler away, and then you pick up your rotary cutter and you come back over and you begin to cut. And like I said, then you gently lift your hand and move your hand up to the middle and continue to cut a little further, and gently lift your hand and move it to the middle and continue to cut a little further till you get to the end of your strip. And then you've got your, with a sharper blade you won't have these problems. And then you have your 9-inch strip. And you could do that for any size strip actually, 6-inch, 9-inch. I know you have some different sizes to make. And then you're going to take your piece of strip, and you've got your selvages here. Now you don't want your selvages, so we're going to cut those selvages off. And you can turn it either way. And you're going to do basically the same thing you did before. You're going to line your straight edge up against one of these lines here, and you're going to lay it over one of these lines here. In this case, I'm using the 2-inch line again. And I don't really need that big long ruler anymore. I can use my 9.5-inch ruler, and I'm just going to lay my, oops, I forgot, left-handed. Lay my straight edge right here on this 2-inch line. You can follow it all the way down, right here, the 2-inch line. I've got my ruler there. Basically, I'm just going to cut off this selvage edge by going right along that 2-inch line and cut off that selvage edge. Now what I have is a nice fresh cut on both sides. And then I'm going to move my this happens to be a 9.5-inch ruler, and you're making 9-inch squares, I believe. If you were making 8-inch, you'd move this to 8 inches. You'd line up your 8 inches on the edge, but in your case it's 9 inches, so we're going to put 9-inch line right on the edge of your fresh cut. And I always like to look and see that the lines going horizontally, or I should say parallel, to the edge of your fabric are lined up fairly well. And then you can lay your long ruler along here. Move your square ruler and give this a nice cut. And there you have your 9.5-inch squares. And you can usually just take your ruler, your little your 9.5-inch ruler and measure and see that they come out to 9 inches square. You've got 9 inches square. And then you're going to just keep cutting each strip. I'm going to show you another method real quick. You can choose the method that you like. Since you're left-handed, if you want to flip this over so that your fresh raw cut edge is over here and your fold is over here, then you can take your 9.5-inch ruler and turn it, and let's turn it this way, and put your 9-inch line on this edge. This is your fresh raw cut edge that you made. And then you can just use this ruler to cut by. You just can simply lay your hand on this ruler, and you don't even need to use the long ruler, and cut along here 9 inches. Now what I would suggest is that you decide which method that you want to use. Test it, see which one you like the best, and be consistent. Use it consistently the same way each time. And then I take my 9.5 inch ruler. Just while you're learning, you want to check yourself, make sure you didn't miscut, and then you've got 4 9-inch squares out of one strip, and you just cut as many strips as you need to get the number of blocks that you need. And I think that's pretty much all you need to know for right now. Bye-bye.